This is the intro, and I'm going to let the creative artists introduce themselves with a short three-bullet portfolio. Before I do that, this is once a night, once a month, I can do that. At the end of every Friday, or last Friday of every month, we hope to continue to do this. This was a test run. Thank you all for coming out and being guinea pigs. It turned out perfect. So, that said and done, I'm going to start with Jason. Jason, you want to introduce yourself and just give us some quick bullet points about who you are, what you do. After he makes his rounds, I'm actually going to sit down from here, and they are going to talk about the creative arts in a landscape that probably none of us have ever had the opportunity to hear, unless you are an artist or a creative, some kind of genius or whatever. Most artists don't really want to talk about their work, but this is an environment where they can.
All right, howdy folks.
Hey.
So I guess birth name is Jason. I like to go by Plato though, and I go by Plato because that means I'm a philosopher of play. So I try to be really philosophical and deep and all of that stuff, but not take myself too seriously that I can't laugh at myself or have a fun time. I do a lot of hip-hop music, I do spoken word, and I perform. I do a lot of community activism, and I do a lot of street theater, and I've done a little bit of other theater, so yeah, and a little bit of storytelling too, so jack of all trades, I guess.
Pass the mic. Hi there, I'm Raj. I also go by Warrior Priest Black Sparrow. To break that down, I am a renegade space pilot who is fighting the corruption of a large entity for the good of humanity. Obama. Yeah, him too. Not really, because he's screwing shit up. Anyway, what I do, I coined it PAR, Progressive Acoustic Rock. So it's a blend of like classic R&B, New Jack Swing, 70s and 80s soft rock, and post-hardcore, done acoustically. Hardcore.
I'll just use my own mic if that's okay. Is it still loud enough? Okay. I'm Dwayne Kirby Jensen, poet, artist. If you look at any of my chapbooks over in the corner over there, all the art on those are all paintings I've done over the years. So I split my time between having gallery shows, going to open mics, performing, hosting open mics. I'm also producing books for other people. Anything that has kind of a creative bent, my fingers are kind of into. And it's just been something I've been doing since, the 80s. Which makes me older than at least any of these two guys combined, right?
Old fart, man.
That's it. I'm the token old guy. On with you, man.
I used to create your clothes.
I'm Michael. I've been kind of on and off doing this spoken word poetry, rap, whatever you want to call it, through my whole life. I just recently started doing this. This is like my, fifth time on a stage? So my fifth time on a stage, so I'm kind of new, so that's all I really got. I mean, is there anything else I should put into that?
That's enough for now. Enough, as the conversation progresses, you get more stuff out.
I forgot one thing.
What? Seahawks. 43-8.
All the stuff on.
Come on.
Okay. So, hey, let's start with Raj. So, Raj, well, because you flipped me some shit, so...
I was trying to be nice to you.
I no problem, but, So, when did you first start playing? Who inspired you to play? And were you writing lyrics before you started guitar, or what came first?
When I was in the 3rd grade, should I use the mic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys can't hear my talk.
Yeah, we're professionals here, so to speak.
Professional. Okay. I started Well, okay, when I was in the 3rd grade, I played violin. I played violin, trumpet, saxophone, trombone, and then I did choir for like years. So that's into high school. When I was in high school, I tried to be a jock, and it didn't work that good. So my last year and a half of high school, I did theater. I started off as like one of the chorus members in 42nd Street. I ended as being the lead in Cabaret. And I'd only done 3 productions, so that was kind of cool. I actually started playing guitar when I was 17. And the reason I started is actually twofold. When I was in the 6th grade, I heard Metallica, and it was like, I want to do that.
Amen.
And then on my 17th birthday, my uncle got me, he got me Raised on Radio and Captured by Journey. And I was like, this is the sound I've been looking for my whole life.
Amen.
You're kidding. Journey did it for you?
Journey, yeah.
Oh, I hated Journey with a
I
passion.
love
Any way you want
Journey.
it. Any way
Oh. Man.
That's why you need it.
So yeah, the very first song, you're gonna hate this. The very first song I learned how to play on guitar was Open Arms.
Okay, that's my answer.
See, I got a fan.
Well, hey, Journey had a lot of fans, and a lot of women had children because of it.
So it's a good thing.
See, they were a blessing to the community. So anyway, I got a book. It was an anthology of like all these Journey songs, and I learned how to play a whole bunch of them. And then, so you gotta understand too, like during this time, I'm listening to like Kansas and Boston and Bush and Fuel and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, I'm living it, Tonic, all that kind of stuff. And me and 2 of my buddies started like a garage band. You know, we played the first song we played Peter Guns and Israel's Son by Silverchair. It was the first 2 songs we ever jammed out on. And we later would play the Battle of the Bands and get completely, because they said we went over time, but we didn't. We were gonna play What If. Yeah, we were gonna play What If by Creed, and they were like, eh. And we were like, we were gonna decimate all. So from that, I was in a pop punk post-hardcore band for a couple years, and then when the band fell apart, I had this like new outlook on music because it was the first time I ever heard like hardcore or anything like that. So I was like, wow, I really want to do something with this, and I started writing, songs seriously and playing them out. And that was like 06, and then.
Okay. So, Michael, what type of music influences you to do some stuff that you do? I mean, who inspires you out there?
I have so many inspirations. It's ridiculous. Anywhere from Nirvana to Ice Cube to just about anybody that I think talks about stuff that's really cool, just, I don't know, just real stuff, I mean, I don't really have an influence. I mean, I just kind of go with the flow, man. Really.
Okay. How about from our Portland guy? Forget your name.
I'm not
Play-Doh
even from
Man.
Portland. I'll
Play-Doh.
claim it though. Yeah, why not? Why not? Why not?
Eugene, man.
Yeah,
Okay.
Eugene. It's Portland's little brother, not quite as
Okay,
outgoing,
yeah.
but cool as shit. Anyways,
Go, Dax.
I wanted to be a basketball player growing up. I dream about being in the pros. About 16, I realized I was 5'4". I wasn't that fast. I couldn't jump. I said, God, I gotta do something else with my life. And I remember hanging out with this girl, and she looks at me one day and she goes, your new name is Plato. I said, yeah, of course. And so I graduated from high school. I'm a young man, and young young men should probably just be locked away or sent somewhere, because
No, that's not.
no. So I kept getting in trouble. Like, I got in trouble 3 times in 1 year, and I had no driver's license. I had felony charges hanging over my head. I'm broke as crap, living in this trailer with no electricity. And it's like, maybe I should start doing some music to get out of trouble. And then, so that's how I started doing music. Now, my influences, I would say, KRS-One is probably my biggest influence. Edutainment, mixing education and entertainment at the same time. He says, I use my gift to uplift. And I was like, oh shit, that's me. That's what I want to do. So I'd say he's a big influence on me. I'd say there's heavily influenced by John Lennon, heavily influenced by Rakim, heavily influenced by Sublime and Nirvana. You can't be from the 90s and not be about Sublime and Nirvana. And let's see, who else? There's a Khalil Gibran, Hafiz, Rumi, like the Persian poets. I actually fell in love deeply with them. And that's kind of what got me into poetry was the old Persian cats. And, I could ramble for 20 minutes about every artist who I think is inspirational and awesome because there's millions of them. Yeah. So anyways, where should we take it from here, fellas?
Your turn.
I always want to ask.
My turn. You want my
but I
musical influences or?
No.
Or what are you? Okay, you want to ask me a question? Okay.
Because like, unbeknownst, because I'm like kind of a secret agent.
Yeah.
So like I
Because no one notices the dreads.
no one notices the sexy dreads. No.
Incognito.
Not even me. But I notice like, because I surveil you from time to time. And I notice like the way that you like put colors together.
Yes.
You like say a lot. Like you'll do like a face, and like the face will be like, you look at it, it's like, oh, he's smiling. And then if you look at the colors in a way, it's like, whoa, he's like bawling his eyes out. Like,
Exactly.
what made you like do that?
Okay. Well, the big thing is when I paint emotion. And probably my biggest influence is actually old movies, film noir, anything back in the 30s. My favorite painter is Edward Hopper. Edward Hopper influenced film noir, and then film noir influenced Edward Hopper. I mean, there's long conversations between him. He's like, I took it this far, they took it this far, I picked up the baton and brought it further. So I love black and white film, and I love capturing people's darkest moods, but I wanted to flip-flop it, and I wanted bright colors. So if someone looks at the piece, initially go, oh, this is very happy. Oh, shit. Once they see the eyes and see that emotion, it's like, this is a person putting on a happy face who is just in hell. I like painting as close to insanity and madness as possible. But still, so I think I push my characters just over the edge, but there's still a small fire in them where they can recover. I mean, they're at that point where you either choose to fall all the way down the hole and never come back, or you just say the hell with it and you climb up. So I use the colors in a lot of ways like the old cinematographers painted with black and white. And back then, they would have used color if color would have been not as expensive as it was. So sometimes when I'm looking at these black and white, I'm seeing the greens, I'm seeing the blues, I'm seeing color when I'm looking at black and white. And so there you go.
That's cool, man. You totally did that.
It's like the rainbows and oil spills principle. There's beauty and ugliness.
Oh, for sure. And the thing is, you can have ugly, but if you push ugly far enough, that's when it becomes beautiful. There's kind of sloppy ugly that's like not really unique. But when you get someone who's really just been through hell, you're like, man, there's so much character that's when that beauty comes out. It's like, also just when you see someone who's like really, really old and they have wrinkles upon wrinkles upon wrinkles, and you just know there is a hell of a life that's been lived by that person, what they've seen. So then you just try to capture that. And then also, going back to my paintings, I always think in terms of narrative. And I think of each one of my paintings as a clipped film still. And so in that one piece, I am trying to tell you the story that went in the first two, frames and give you an idea of how the story may or may not end.
The whole story captured in one image.
Exactly.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I want to look at your poetry or your paintings now that you're talking like
Yeah. It's been just too cumbersome to be like bringing paintings and
yeah.
everything here.
Word.
But the books are there, and there's paintings on the cover, and some of them actually have paintings inside too. So, Michael, anything to chime in, man?
Yeah,
Don't
I
wanna
kind of
leave you
found
out
out
of here.
inspiration. One of the biggest inspirers that got me to really write was, believe it or not, Edgar Allan Poe and Dante Alighieri. Just the way he worded it, the way that, just the amount of depression and the amount of emotion that he really put into it was phenomenal to me, because at the time I was incarcerated and he was saying everything I felt. And so that's what really got me to grab a notebook and sit down and really put it down, was old Nirvana lyrics stuck in my head, and finally deciphering what he meant, and reading Edgar Allan Poe, and just going to the library and getting book upon book upon book of his short stories, and his twisted mind, and studying it. And that's what really got me going.
Well, you make a good point there. I mean, there's a lot of people who are out there writing who just write, but they don't read other writers. They don't look at how other writers have handled situations. And if you're going to get better, you need to study and start to understand why this poem worked, why this song worked. It's just not because they got a bunch of publicity. I mean, they might have been hot for a couple, but if a song is lasting, more than a
Generations,
decade,
yeah.
then there's something working right. And if you break it down, you're like, oh, okay, there's where the honesty is. And this is how they brought us along through the whole song and made it part of our DNA.
Right.
And just not something where we're like, oh yeah, cool, I'm going to get laid and we'll forget about the song.
No.
Which is all about Journey.
Now I'm bringing.
I'll just say this.
It's just it's like another Rush, bro.
Add one thing. At least Journey is better than REO Speedwagon, which
I like that
or
too.
Air Supply,
But
the worst band of the
I
80s.
have
like
to give,
a
I have to
Rush.
give you this little factoid. So everything that Journey did with Steve Perry from '81 on.
Okay.
The story goes that Steve Perry, his mom was in the hospital and basically was going to die.
So I should like Journey because she was going to die.
Well, let me finish the story. So he actually was going to not go on tour. He was not going to go on the Escape tour and stay with his mom on her deathbed. And she said, no, go and do this thing. So all that happy-go-lucky music that you're hearing coming out of his mouth, he is miserable the whole entire time because his mom died while he was on tour and he wasn't by her side.
Okay. I can value that. I still don't have to like them.
Oh, I
but
didn't say
again, we're going to get so many hits on YouTube because of all the Journey fans coming in just attacking me and supporting you.
Journey.
Yes.
Journey. Hashtag Journey. Double hashtag Journey rocks.
Okay.
See, even she got mad. It was like, nah, man.
Okay.
Jason, you mentioned earlier about this community park gardening thing you do. That although it's not what we call art, it's very artistic. Towards your neighbor. Did you guys open up with this?
Yeah, the avant-gardeners, and so it's not art in a sense of painting or poetry, but what I do is I'm in a group called the Avant-Gardeners. And what we do is we seek to transform our community and our culture through the act of gardening. And this can take various projects. It can manifest in various projects. So like one thing that we do is we find these very experienced elder gardeners that have all this knowledge to give. And then we find like working folks in that mid-productive chunk of their life, maybe they got kids, maybe they're 34 or something, and then we find a bunch of youngins, people like 18 to 25, that want to learn about gardening. And we have the elders teach free classes for the younger people, and they go work and transform normal, traditional homes, lawns into gardens. And the project is meant to increase self-sufficiency, and we create community, what we call is farmily, so farming family. And
How original.
yeah. And we also have done things like claim public space and start growing food. And the idea behind this is food prices have been raising incredibly. As anybody that goes to a grocery store knows, $20 don't buy you much anymore. And with the latest drought in California, it's only going to get worse. So what we seek to do is to become more self-sufficient, to help empower each other through the act of gardening so that we can take care of each other, build community, and build culture. Another thing that we do is we find like homeless people, quite honestly, and we give them places to live. We outsource them on yards. And so, for example, in my shed lives this beautiful soul, and he gets free rent, and we feed him, and he gets electric, but he works on our yard 15, 20 hours a week. I work full-time. I got kids, art, activists. I don't have time to have like this awesome permaculture garden. So we create win-win situations. And the final thing I'll say about that real fast is it's one thing to garden, but it's not just the act of gardening, it's how we garden. It's approach, realizing that the plants grow themselves, and our job is to be stewards of the plant and enter into a conversation or a relationship with the plants to help them really grow and figure out what they need. And it's a beautiful thing. We started this a few months ago, and we have over 200 people in Eugene who have signed up for our group and who participate in our projects.
How's that been expressed in your artistic aspect of it?
I wrote a song for them. Should I do